On this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, we've got the boys from Reviler. We got Will and Randall with us talking about the South Carolina scene and their new album, Devastation. We also talk about several different things like the cool use of physical mediums that they've done, like the ticket stubs from their album release show. They also did a tape deck that had a USB port to be able to play in certain cars and stuff like that. So we get into a lot of that kind of stuff, and it was just all around a good time. So excited for this one. Let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast with me, Trevor, and Kyle. And we are joined finally by some very special guests. We have the boys from, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher it off the start, Reviler, bros. Will
Are you
and
having
Randall.
a stroke? Are you okay?
My heart's
Do
like,
we need to call
my
you
heart's
dying
racing,
on camera?
guys.
Or-
No, man.
At least you didn't
no.
call us Reviler.
Reviler.
Like everybody
We got
else.
Reviler with us? No, we got Reviler with us. I'm excited, man. We've been talking about this for a couple of months now. We tried to get you guys back in July, and Will just happens to be a world traveler, and, he was exploring Iceland at the time. So I'm glad that you guys stuck around and decided to hop on with
Yeah.
us. But
No, we're
how are you guys
excited.
doing?
Us. Thank you so much for having us, and really appreciate you guys and the support and love that you've showed us on Instagram and on the podcast. So thank you so much for having us.
yeah,
Oh, of
for
course.
sure. I'll tell you, it makes it real easy when you make good music. So, thank you guys for the good music, because it's as much for us too. Like, it's easy when we listen to you all the time. So,
One thing you'll learn very quickly about Will and myself is that we're very good at receiving compliments.
okay.
That's not true.
It's very hard to not immediately deflect when you said that, Kyle. So
All right. Well, look, we'll just talk shit on you guys the rest of the time, and
That's
maybe
what we like.
okay.
thank you. We'll be so much more comfortable.
Hey, so when were you in Iceland?
I guess it was July. Right after we did our release show, and then 2 days
Okay.
later we went over there.
Was it like just a trip or a cruise? And I'm asking because my mom was on a cruise out there. So if there was a really tall, annoying redhead lady, then you might have met my mom. But
Nah, it was a trip over there, not a cruise.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
What took you to Iceland? Because that's on my bucket list too.
Yeah,
My
so
ducks too.
been on the list for a minute. My mom's 60th birthday. My parents have not traveled internationally before. My wife and I have done a decent amount, and so it was just fun going over there and letting them experience something new and being a part of it with them. So yeah, that was the main pull for going over there.
That's awesome.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, well, we'll get into this. So, Will, you're the vocalist. Randall, you are the guitarist. You guys started 2022. How did you guys connect? Or how did Reviler start?
Well, I was the last piece of the last member, so I'll let Randall start from his side of things.
So things started picking up in the Greenville scene about 2022. There was more and more shows started happening. I was in a band in the area like 2010, 2009, 2010. And not a lot had really happened in the area since then. So once shows started happening again, I started going to them, and I really wanted to be a part of it again. So just really started talking to people. Say, hey, who wants to play music? Got connected with our drummer Brett. Our buddy Max at the time was playing bass for us. So then we heard Will was interested in doing vocals, and first time I met Will was, I think, in this room. Is that right?
Yep. That's
where we
first
practiced
time.
in my basement.
We had been around each other, but
Yeah.
that was our first time meeting. And Brett, our drummer, I had known Brett. I think the first time I met Brett was maybe 2007. I was from Columbia originally, and so Brett's band would travel from Greenville and come down to Columbia, and so we would always just all crash at the same house and just stayed in touch with him ever since. Probably 2018, Brett was playing music with some indie band, and so my wife and I went out to see him play a house show. And I was like, "Hey, Brett, I've been writing. I would love to play heavy music. Do you think you have it in you?" And Brett, if you have not talked to him, he's got a very South Carolina voice. He's like, "No, man, I think the heavy music days are past me, buddy." And so then 2022, he hits me up and was like, "You want to do vocals in a hardcore band?" I was like, I knew you had it."
Dude, that's sick. So, I mean, Greenville right now is popping off. Like, there's you guys, there's Brass Tongue, there's so many good bands right now coming out of Greenville. What do you guys attribute to the resurgence?
So, I mean, the first, like, I think the catalyst to everything kicking off was coming out of COVID, coming out of lockdown. So everyone was hungry to just like eat up live music, in my opinion. Like, I did not think the last show that I was going to go to was a folk punk slash grindcore slash ridiculous show in the back of a bar. Like, that is not, I was like, all right, this is the last one for 2 years. And so Jose has if you've seen it, Azucar had done a lot of the booking around here. So Jose booked the first show at a skate park, and it was in an upstairs room, and had Your Spirit Dies was one of the local support on that, and then a bunch of Atlanta bands. That I believe, and Randall, correct me if I'm wrong, at least in our small world, that was a huge thing to kick it off. So a bunch of factors like that all married together. Yeah. Anything I'm missing on that one, Randall?
I don't know. I think for some reason we are blessed with just having a lot of great musicians in this Greenville area. And I think just a handful. I'm taking off the top of my head probably 24 people that are just very talented, extremely talented, and we're just kind of tired of sitting around, especially like Will said, after COVID. So after COVID, once it started kicking off again, some of these people that were kind of on the sideline for a while that been casually playing in their bedrooms or never really thought about it, just kind of jumped in, and it took off.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we've talked a little bit with like Travis and Gooner from Strikeface and Intimidator, and so it's very interesting. I don't know, hardcore is such an interesting like concept because like you guys are down the street from each other and you're like brothers in this scene, but it's still very different. So like, how would you categorize Greenville right now in like South Carolina? Like, what's different? What makes it unique? Or I guess just in the general area, right? Because you go up the road into like North Carolina and stuff, and you know we're used to like Advent, and you know there's a couple cool bands like Ends of Sanity and stuff right now that are coming out of there. So, like, what makes Greenville Greenville?
That's a great question. I think just like any other scene, we always are really pushing to have all ages spots. As with any hardcore scene, it's really about the youngsters. It's about the youth. So we have always had a focus in Greenville to not be exclusive to 21 and up or even 18 and up. That's one difference between like Greenville and you mentioned North Carolina. Charlotte is about an hour and a half away from us, but Charlotte has really struggled to find a good all ages spot. Typically, shows in Charlotte, they're going to start at 10 p.m. and it's going to be 18 and up. Where shows in Greenville, we're going to start at 7 p.m. and it's going to be all ages.
Yeah.
So
we love Charlotte. We do love Charlotte.
We do love Charlotte. I'm not saying we don't love it. It's just different up there. Where Greenville, we try to keep a more, again, it's more of an all ages focus. I think Charlotte would love to do that, but they've just had a harder time finding spaces that allow that to happen up there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like 21 and older shows starting at 10. Like I can't even find a babysitter for that time, you know?
No.
Like, that's the younger crowd are the ones that are hanging out that late, man. Not old guys like me. So
Well, I think it's
Randall touched
you
on
know,
it earlier, but
go ahead.
seeing a lot of people that have been in and around the scene for so many years. I'm the youngest in our band, and I'm 32, about to be 33. And so, some of the kids that are coming out to shows, when I went to my first show, they weren't born yet, right? So it's
Yeah.
cool to just have people that are positively influencing like these people that are starting to come out to shows, and I don't know, it's really it's been cool to see a lot of people that like I mentioned, I met Brett in 2007, and now I'm playing music with him, right? So something cool about that.
Yeah.
It's crazy what you were just saying about like finding the all ages venue. It's hard. Like that's one thing that we're out in Salt Lake, we're struggling with right now. We have a couple, but you'll have to go on and find some of the Salt Lake stuff. We have that's called the Scooter Shop, but it's a hallway. Bands come and play like a hallway, and it is scary seeing some dudes like swinging with nowhere to go because like there's 6 feet of space that you're just standing in.
It's like
hardcore finds a way. Yeah, it's insane.
Daredevil, right?
Yeah, you gotta
So-
get creative sometimes.
Oh, for sure. It's awesome though. It's a ton of fun. And what you're saying is true, right? Like we have a couple of the shows like the Dying Wish Pain of Truth tour that's coming. That got booked at 21 and older one. And everyone here is just like, you got to move that venue. You've got to move that venue. It's just not the same. Like it's fun, but it's just not the same. So,
We've
yeah,
been
go
lucky
ahead.
to at least have some consistent spaces. I mean, just like anywhere else, they come and go. Just because it's wild and it's violent and it doesn't make a lot of money for the places that host it, so they come and go. But we've been fortunate in this area to have enough handful of spots.
No, for sure. So, Will, I know you're straight edge. Is Reviler a straight edge band?
Reviler's not a straight edge band. I know it's
Okay.
confusing when the vocalist has big X's on his hands and vegan straight edge stuff across his stomach and wears animal liberation shirts. No, we're not. But with that being said, like we have straight edge members, and there are a lot of things that the band collectively agrees with, and so no, we're not a straight edge band.
All right.
What do you
The
say,
reason I
Will?
asked, what was that,
What do you
Randall?
say specifically, Will, when people ask if Randall is straight edge?
What do I say?
Yeah,
I say Randall's an adult.
I'm just an adult.
He can make his own decisions.
I typically choose not to do those things, but
Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen Randall do anything that would disqualify him from being straight edge, but
I gotcha.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same way, but Trevor has an issue with sniffing glue.
I
So
love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love to hear that.
You know,
Wait, that's not straight edge?
green glue.
that's not straight edge, right?
so okay.
No, the reason I asked is because I was flipping through, I was reading some interviews with you guys, and one of them had you guys listed as the hardcore straight edge band.
They always do.
So
Whenever it comes up, there's just a lot of assumptions made, you know?
You guys are gonna get canceled online or something and be like, dude, these guys were straight edge band, but they're not. You know,
Yeah.
they sold out.
You're going to be the
Are we allowed to tell
chain
the?
of strength started getting called a chain of beers. It's great.
Are we
were
allowed
you
to
saying,
tell the
Randall?
story, Will, where I had to back up once I was skimming through a message while I was driving? Are we allowed to tell that story?
There's a long. I'll for the sake of everyone involved, we got asked to be included on something that had a lot of straight edge bands that I highly exalt and respect. And Randall was like, "Yo, check this out," and I was like, that's really cool. You told him no, right?" And he's like, "I just told him yeah," and I was like, "Dude." It was like
not how
it was
it went.
something very simple, like being included on like a sticker sheet or compilation thing, and I had to be like, yo, like, thank you for the invite. We cannot do that. You cannot put our name next to Earth Crisis.
I think Randall has more to add to this.
Yeah, no. So I was driving, And of course, I'm not while I was moving, at a red light, of course. Somebody sent us a DM. They're like, hey, we want to do this stuff. And I skimmed it. I read giveaways, big festival, want to put some of your stickers in a bag, and listed a bunch of bands. I was like, yeah, sweet, sure, why not? So then when I got home, I actually read the message, and I was like, oh, no. And I sent it to Will. I was like, Will, I'm punting this to you. You got to handle this. I'm out of my element here. I don't know what to
You
do.
had to speak their language.
Yeah, these are your people. I'm sorry. Handle this.
You guys
I
seen,
mean,
have
you
seen
couldn't
those
just
Stanley
be.
Severs videos about like where he's making fun of people breaking
Yeah.
edge and stuff? Like, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of how you felt? Like, if not now, you never were,
Right.
Yeah.
You guys could have been extra Reviler X for a minute.
I mean,
Just throwing it out there.
we could.
Probably have more fans.
We'd have more fans.
You could do like X Reviler, because it's like like
I like that.
not the full thing, just the
Not full straight edge.
Our
yeah.
band is half straight edge.
Yeah,
and
I've
the other
thought
half
about doing the
working-
stickers that like
Yeah.
big block letters, Reviler, 50% straight edge.
And then the other half is people who work in HVAC. So we're half straight edge, half HVAC.
Half
There you
hand.
go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There you
You know
go.
what's funny is like we've been fortunate enough to talk to like a couple guys that have been around for a while, and we hear all the stories about these old like straight edge bands, bands that you thought were straight edge, and there's all the stories of them getting hammered and stuff after shows. And I don't know, it's funny. I respect bands that do it, and but it just it's kind of funny to hear stories about those bands. So
Yeah, I
glad you
think,
guys are at least honest about it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
We kind of touched on this earlier, but straight edge or not, because of the Greenville scene, we really try to focus on being all ages, and there's younger crowds at our shows. We really do try to focus on being a good influence, whether that's not getting hammered at the show, whether that's watching all the bands play, helping load, unload, just being a part, not just sneaking out behind the venue and smoking and tagging. And we really just try to be a good influence, straight edge or not.
I mean,
Good for
like,
you guys.
scenes need that. Like, scenes will only grow and thrive with that influence in it. Like, we have it here in Salt Lake. It was kind of the same thing. We went through a little bit of a lull, and then probably roughly the same time, 21, 22, after all the COVID stuff died down, they just popped off. And there's a couple of just the old timers who have just stuck around, kind of showing the younger generations how they're going. There's a couple like bands coming out who have like younger members with the older members right now. Like, it's really cool. It's a cool dynamic. It's a cool way to see the scene continue to grow and thrive. So, no, that's great.
We're all parents in the band, and so I'm like, yo, in 4 years, my oldest daughter, if she wants to come to these things, she is going to be the same age as these people that are in a room watching me jump around and hit my head with a microphone. Like, it's I don't know, it puts it into perspective when you're like, oh wow, that is, and my kids enjoy, like, they know how to talk to our TV, and they're like, Reviler, and they'll like make the video pop up.
It's awesome. Yeah, my son
that's
practices
great.
stage diving over the couch in our living room, so he's getting there. He like tells his music teacher at school. He's in elementary school, but he tells his music teacher about some of the bands. Like, he listens to Mind Force like all the time with me, and he like tells his music teacher, "Hey, have you ever heard Mind Force?" And I was like, "Dude, you're gonna get me in trouble."
Love it. Mind Force is a good one though. That's a good, they write love songs.
Exactly. It's about strength of mind, right? It's positive. It's good stuff. I think he's an elementary school teacher too, isn't he?
Who? What?
The Mind Force vocalist?
Yeah, the guy from Mind Force. Yeah,
He's a teacher. I don't know what. I think he teaches a little older though.
it's cool though.
He's an educator, so
He's
an educator.
there we go.
So, how did that tour back west come about? Because you guys just did a run. Was it just to play that festival in Portland, right?
Yes, we played that fest in Portland, and then tagged dates on before and after it. We played a show. I had a online friendship with a guy named Alex, who is the vocalist of a band called Kaizo. Really cool metalcore band. Love them. They're based out of Seattle. They played with some of our friends in Circle Back as well, so another South Carolina band. And then we had talked about it for a minute, like, because after that little show, me and Alex, just with the power of the internet, we talk all the time. And we talked about it and wanted to put something together, and we kept talking about it. We threw around a couple iterations where it was 2 weeks of shows. We talked about 1 week of show. We kept going round and round about it. And then between everyone's PTO, everyone's work, everyone's family life, we finally got that locked in. And yeah, the Portland Fest was sick. Really thankful for that opportunity. Chip put that one together. Randall, do you remember how many bands? Was it 28?
I have no idea. It was a lot, though. And it
was an insane amount of bands, 2 stages, pumped it out, shows done before 10 p.m.
Wow.
So well run. Just really, really cool. So many people moshing from band 1 to the final band. And it was really cool.
Yeah, we asked
What was like...
oh, sorry. We asked our friends.
No, go for it.
If they want to go with us. Another great band from Greenville. They went out there with us. We had a blast. Those guys are nuts to be around there.
Yeah.
They're rascals, but no, we had a great time out there with them. It was cool.
Yeah, shout out Laid Out. If you have not listened to Laid Out, they're sick. And then from putting that together, Kaizo and Laid Out linked up, and then they put out a split right before we went out there. So it's really cool seeing friends from all over do creative projects together.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's
so
way cool.
Logistically, was that hard? You guys didn't drive out though, or did you? Because that's a long drive.
Nah, we flew out. We shoved all of our merch in a suitcase and checked the guitars. Probably the hardest part was coordinating our drummer Brett, what gear to bring, what was shared gear. Randall is extraordinaire logistics. Thank you, Randall.
No, it wasn't bad. We were able to essentially get everything in a couple suitcases. We checked guitars, checked cymbals. I got a new amp. Shout out Black Star Amps, who was kind enough to give me an amp that's very small, fit in a suitcase. So we took it out so I'd have my pedals and amp out there. No, it was probably too easy. That it went really well. It was awesome. We got out there, rented a minivan on Turo for like half the price of renting it on Enterprise or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you never used Turo before, I recommended it. It was awesome. No, it was great.
That's way cool.
Everything went really well.
So I saw the video. What's it feel like to have Rocky from Three Ninjas mosh for you guys?
It was humbling.
I gotta say, because I'm assuming it was a he. I don't want to misgender a ninja. But while we were playing, I kind of kept my eye on him out of the corner of my eye. I was like, hey, he's kind of standing there, he's got his arms crossed, he's doing this. And then once I saw we got his approval and he began to do the karate moves in a karate suit, I that made my weekend right there. I was ready to go home after that.
Was he doing like legit karate moves?
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw a roundhouse. Is that karate or is that taekwondo? I don't know.
Was it like breaking boards in the middle of the pit and stuff?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
But no, it was I don't know what was going on there, but it seemed like he enjoyed it, so that was cool.
Good. That's cool.
That's way sick. So in your guys' No Echo interview, you guys talked about when you guys first got together, you wrote like 30 to 45 second demos to kind of determine a style and figure out what you guys were going to be. What stuff didn't make the cut?
If you knew how many Reviler songs that are out there that don't make the cut.
Yeah.
I would realistically, I was thinking about this earlier this week because we're doing the same thing right now. To where I'll sit down, or Derek or Brett or anybody will sit down, and we'll literally jam out 30 seconds and send it to the group chat and be like, hey, what do y'all think about this? And there's probably at a minimum of 100 of those out there. So I'm all about the I've had this for every band that I've ever been in. I don't want to be one of those bands that puts out something and doesn't like it. So I'd rather just go ahead and get those songs out of the way and just put them in the grave before anybody else sees them. So we constantly write a lot and just see what sticks, to see what resonates to it, see what feels effortless. So there is a lot that didn't make it. We trim a lot and we rob a lot from other songs. We've probably played, I don't know, 5 or 6 songs live that never saw the light of day after, just because we test them out to see how it goes, see if we like it live, see if it matches up, and sometimes we do, sometimes it doesn't. That's part of our process that we've had since the beginning. We're still doing that right now, currently.
Yeah. So how did you like get, I guess, what's like the biggest influence on your guys' sound? Because I don't know, like there's this huge spectrum of hardcore and different sounds. And honestly, we've talked about this a lot. Your guys' sound really resonates with me. You know, I really enjoy the more like metallic-y type hardcore that's a little faster, but not like too punk fast, you know? So like you guys really hit this like sweet spot for me in a sound. So like, how did you come about, you know, with this sound? Where are you pulling influences from and stuff?
Will?
Well, I mean, it does apply to both. Cause I mean, you know, like musically it's that way too, but like Will, your scream as well. If you listen again to the pod, I have a lot of issues with certain screams and sounds. Cause I'm not a deathcore or death metal guy. I don't like that. So your like higher registry scream is 100% like what I like. So from both sides of it, scream and musically, like, yeah.
So thank you. I'm learning to accept compliments. Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we started from something that before we were all trying to like see like, hey, let's jam first. And the first song or the first band that we said, all right, well, everyone just have this song on the ready. Doesn't mean we're going to sound like this, but it was a Comeback Kid song. And so we kind of started from there. And I was like, well, I can't emulate this cadence. I can't do this. And we're like, it doesn't matter. It's just something to go off of. I like a lot of like stuff that I'm listening to is going to be more of a straightforward hardcore sound. Stuff that Randall gravitates toward is going to be more of like a metalcore, metallic. And our bass player Derek, it like plays in Slug Crust, and they're more of a grindy false grind kind of like that, and so he's also bringing a different viewpoint to it. So I don't know, Randall, anything to add to that? I know we kind of try and all throw the ideas in there. I contribute so minimally compared to everyone else, though.
So my thought process a lot of times is I want to keep the energy and structure typically of more of a straightforward hardcore band. But we call it the heaviness and the spookiness of something like an Advent, like an end, something along the lines. So in my mind, the perfect sound for me would be something that is energetic, that moves well, that flows well, but is heavy and dark sounding at the same time. So musically, that's what I try to aim for when I'm writing guitar riffs. Brett, our drummer, I think we're very similar in the mindset when you think about that. And then Derek's complementing that as well with kind of his grind stuff that he comes from. So I think really, if I try to nail down a sound, that's what I strive for.
So hearing you say that you're kind of going towards that like dark sounding, a little bit more heavy kind of feel and stuff like that, like Will, does that impact how you choose to write your lyrics, or would you write the same lyrics even if it was more fast, upbeat, like a comeback kid or something like that? Like, what are you pulling from lyrically to kind of complement more or less what you guys have going on?
Yeah, so I mean, all the stuff that we write about, like we're very positive people, but we also see this as an outlet, right? So me and Randall do a lot of the writing. Um, Randall will say, "Hey, I had this. This is something that popped in." He'll send me some scratched lyrics. I'll send Randall this, and I'll say, "Hey, I have these ideas and these just like brackets of general idea. Help me make this sound like I'm not a caveman." And so a lot of the stuff that a lot of the stuff that we're writing, we're using this as an outlet, a positive outlet to talk about things that are either like deep or things that are like frustrations or things that we just are seeing around us, a way for us just to process something and then have an outlet as well. So, and I've always been attracted to that. Like a lot of the music that I've listened to has always had those similar themes to it. And yeah.
I gotcha.
I think for me, I get tired of every hardcore band and their lyrics are you've got something bad to say about to me, say it to my face. I feel like
Right.
I've heard that song 400 times.
Yeah.
Right.
So for us, I really think, I mean, for song inspiration, like if something affects me or if I get frustrated about something, that's where I'll just go in the notepad on my phone and I'll jot it down right then and there, bounce it off Will and say, "Hey, Will, what do you think about writing a song about this?" Off the top of my mind, what one is Callous to Devastation. So
Yep.
I won't get too in the weeds about that, but I remember so I have a job that a lot of times I have to take clients out to lunch and stuff like that. So I was driving in my car, listening to the news, and this is so terrible, but it was the day of a school shooting, which unfortunately and terrifyingly enough, that happens so often that I can't remember what particular one it was. But
Right.
the day of a school shooting, I just remember thinking, God, this is terrible that this has become the norm and it's not affecting me very often. Now I'm gonna go eat some Japanese food with some people and act like nothing's happening. So the whole time I'm sitting in this lunch meeting, that's just running through my head. It's just like, man, this is a lot of people's worst day of their life they have ever had. But a lot of people, they're so immune to seeing these terrible things happen that they just go on everyday life.
Yeah.
So I texted Will. I was like, "Hey, here's an idea for a song I just had. What do you think?" And he said, "No, it's terrible. Let's don't do it."
Yes, that scratch it.
So that's I'd much rather write songs about that versus I don't know some of the I hate to say more shallow subject matter, but for me, hardcore is a powerful thing. So you need to use it to talk about powerful things that are happening in this world and in your life.
You know, I appreciate you saying that. And Callous to Devastation is definitely a song that stood out really highly on the record. It was one that we actually shouted out when we did the episode about you guys because number one, the subject matter, and number two, your guys' delivery of it, right? We've often talked about on this podcast being like having memorable lines, things that stand out, and you know how many black boxes, how many folded flags. Like I mean, I can sing your song for you if you guys want me to, but I won't ruin that for you guys. But we were talking to Kendall from Heavy is the Head out of Virginia, and same thing. They're talking about issues within the country and things that just like a lot of us, like you said, we just like move on with our lives. And it's kind of frustrating, you know what I mean? That this is what our life has turned into, that we are callous to everything that's going on around us. And so, you know, I appreciate that. I appreciate an outlet, a way to actually like be thoughtful of this, take a moment to reflect and like actually think about what's going on around us.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the scene was bred on, right?
Yep.
Was
Yep.
this, they say counterculture, but I feel like counterculture, especially nowadays, it's, we're not paying attention to the right things while bad things are happening all around us,
Right.
So that's, yeah. And I do want to get into your guys' new record. So I'm glad you brought up that. And I don't, want it to be an awkward segue after talking about that, but we really do appreciate that. I know you guys hate compliments, and I try to be positive and give compliments, but definitely appreciate when music sounds real. And me and Trevor talk about this all the time. Like we wouldn't bring up or try and help promote these bands or talk about these bands if we didn't feel like it was raw and authentic and real. And so we appreciate that from you guys. But let's jump into Devastation though. So that was released a month ago,
July.
maybe a little more. July.
July.
Yeah.
It's been
Okay.
a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of run us through the process of making that, how long you guys been in the works with it. What was the process like? What did you like? What are you, maybe going forward? What are some stuff you're going to try and do different on your next album? Cause I hope there's more music too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we released quite a few singles, and truthfully, we should have packaged them out and done like a Reviler 2023 demo. We did it, right? So we just had singles. A handful of those songs are songs that we had already integrated into our set in some fashion and in some form. Some of the songs Randall mentioned, like we're not afraid to have a song down enough and then be like, all right, well, let's just add it into the set and see what happens. I've got like half lyrics written for it, but I'll have the rest. Brett will be like, yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna do on this fill here, and then we're like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And it's never failed us, so we'll just keep doing it. But some of the songs have been in the works for a while. There were some songs that we fully recorded and they never made it onto it. And so that's the highlights of it. Yeah, Randall, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, we'd been. I think one of the Promises Broken on Devastation was the first song we wrote on that one, and we actually wrote that song before we did a handful of our singles. Before Fear and Isolation, before we wrote that one, so we wrote that song a while back. Sat on it for a while, played it live. Really liked it. So we had a collections of these songs. We wanted to. Oh look, Will's got the record right there.
I'm having to refresh what's on it. So
previous to that, all the singles that I had recorded in this room with us, so we really wanted to go somewhere else. So our buddy Ian over at Studio 101, we talked to him, said, hey man, we really want us to be different. We want to come through and track the music live. We want it to feel like a live set. So that's what we were able to do, which was great. I could never do that here in my basement. So we went to Studio 101, my buddy Ian, we set up, did all the music for it live. And it was great. It took us, I think, 2 days to do all the music. And then we would come back. Will and I would write lyrics for songs that we had already recorded the music for, and come back on the weekends here and there and record vocals. So vocals was a little bit longer of a process. We wanted to take our time on it and get it right, but it was great to finally have a finished record to put out. It will not be the last for sure. I think once we, what do you think timeline for our next record, Will?
I love timelines, like. Yeah, I think
this is recorded too, so we're gonna hold you to it.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think we've kind of agreed we'll probably do a 4-song. And Randall mentioned this earlier. We had a song that was complete, and then about 2 practices ago, we're just like, yeah, scrap it. I mean, like, we're not afraid to just completely scrap something, and we want to be happy with what we put out.
Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned going and recording live. Was that a conscious effort? I don't think a lot of people do that kind of stuff anymore, right?
No, I wanted our sound on this record to have more of a raw, organic type sound. Um, there's nothing wrong with a band going in a studio and getting everything dead perfect. There's nothing wrong with editing drums to where every hit sounds absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with playing a guitar track 500 times until it's perfect. That's all well and great. But when you come to a Reviler show, that's not what you're going to see. What you're going to see is a lot of energy. It may not be perfect. I don't care what band you see live, it's not going to be perfect. Yeah. But we wanted to try and capture in a recording what it sounds like when you go to a Reviler show. So it was very, very on purpose, very conscientious of us to do it in a live style. I wanted to be playing guitar next to the drum set when we were recording. So there's actually parts on our record that you can hear the drums through the pickups in the guitar. Like the beginning of Compromise, where it's just bass and drums. You can hear these weird ping sounds. It sounds like I'm hitting the guitar with a drumstick. That's just because I was standing next to the drum set. And when he's hitting the snare, you can hear the snare through the guitar pickup, which is what you would hear live. Yeah. If you saw us live. So I really wanted that organic sound. We as a band talked about it. We really wanted that organic sound to come through on the record. It's just different because I feel like a lot of these new hardcore records you listen to, or new metalcore records you listen to, they sound like a computer. Mm-hmm. They sound perfect, which is great, but it feels kind of dead and sterile to me, and we wanted to get away from that.
I mean, I appreciate you saying that as well, because that's something that we've talked a lot about. Is we grew up in the Rise record era, right? We grew up on Joey Sturgis, and everything Joey does it's awesome, but it's exactly what you're saying, right? It's everything's on time, everything's clean, everything's digitized, and you don't get a lot of these raw records anymore. It's a reason we still go back and listen to early 2000 records. There's something different about it. And the sound that you get, the energy you guys put out, like that's great. We've always, I hate talking crap on bands, but like Falling in Reverse canceling shows because they lose a laptop, like what is that? Yeah. So it's awesome to hear that there's people who like still care about that and want that sound, because we, like us personally, we really like that sound. So kudos to you guys.
I went to Seosin like a month ago, and one of the bands that opened for him, I'm not entirely convinced that their guitar player was actually playing.
Right.
So, and that bugs me because it's like, it shouldn't sound perfect when you see him. Because if it sounds perfect, then you're probably not playing. And, I'd rather go see like Ed Sheeran or something. Well, he actually plays though, so that's a bad example. But I'd rather go see something like that, right? That is in a big stadium that sounds incredible, So
one of my favorite records all time is Norma Jean, Oh God, the Aftermath.
Oh yeah,
and that record sounds like trash. But it's raw. You can tell like they did not sit down and edit everything with that. Like just great musicians playing the record, ton of energy. Their later stuff sounded super polished, which is fine, but it kind of lost interest for me. But that record right there, like it sounds like Norma Jean live back in 2004 or 5, whenever that record came out. So I specifically told the engineer, I was like, this is the feeling I want to go for. Not necessarily the sound. I want it to sound like Reviler, but I like this raw type.
Like the mix.
Feeling. Yes. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So 2-part question here. Number 1, how's the reception been for Devastation? You guys can answer that. But number 2, and this is going to be a long-winded question, but one of my favorite things that you guys did with the Devastation release show was the physical tickets. And number 1, who came up with that? And what do you guys think about the physical medium in today's scene? I freaking love that. Like when you guys were posting about that on social media, I'm like, I miss that. I want one of those tickets because that's awesome. It's a cool, I was there moment in history kind of thing.
All right. Ask questions again.
Reception.
Number one, how was the reception? How was your CD release show and stuff? And number two, the physical mediums in today's digitized world, right? Because everything's about social media and stuff. So, like, why doing like the physical medium stuff?
You want me to hit reception, and then Randall, you talk about the tickets and that stuff.
Sure.
Cool. And you can add on anything. So reception was very positive. Again, I'm very thankful for a local scene that shows so much support. They support by coming out to shows, but they also will share stuff on social media. So shout out to everyone that ever does that. It is 100% noticed, and we do not take that for granted. Our release show, we had butterflies leading up to it. We played in a community center with a wooden stage, and it is a big room. And so there was a chance that room was going to feel empty. And very thankful for kids packing the room out, moshing to every band. We had 6 bands, Randall.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Final Thread opened us off. Realm of None. Razortail.
Yep. Laid Out. Delta Hate was supposed to be on that show, but they got COVID and chickened out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mean Jesus. If I didn't say Mean Jesus.
Mean Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, Mean Jesus. And then us.
And Brass Tongue.
Yeah, Brass Tongue and then us. So just very, very thankful for that, and very thankful for kids grabbing the mic for songs that came out the day before. Blows my mind every single time. Anytime we play a show and anytime someone takes the mic or there's big pylons, I love big pylons. Makes me feel it's hard to even explain that, how good it makes me feel. And I love big pylons. I love stage dives. So to see so much of that, especially at the release show, was awesome.
I think for any band, by the time you actually have a record that has been released, you grow very complacent to those songs, or at least used to them. Because I know by the time Devastation came out, we had already had it done for the songs done for probably 5 or 6 months. So we had already listened to them a ton. We were already used to it. It was kind of old news to us. And for me, it's been fun to see people's reaction hearing those songs for the first time. Just like we heard them for the first time, when we wrote them for the first time, recorded them for the first time. We were very excited. They sounded awesome. Still do sound awesome. But seeing people's reaction to it, seeing the reception it's getting, we sold out of the records at the show, which we weren't planning on, which was a huge surprise, which was great to do. But it's good because you get those thoughts in the back of your head, okay, we've been sitting on these songs 6 months. Are they good? Are they, is this a good record? I don't know. Me and Will, I feel like we fight those same kind of thoughts in our head very often. So
we're like, maybe we just shouldn't put it out. Let's just cancel the release show.
I don't know if we go that far.
How much do we lose?
Yeah, but no, it's been great to get to hear people say very nice things about it, and to see it pop up on playlists, to see it doing well on the digital side, and then to see the physical sales doing well of it too. It's been very rewarding and gratifying, especially when 2-3 weeks before you start to get those negative thoughts where, oh my God, our new stuff we're writing is so much better. This is crap, and it still holds up pretty good.
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
So who came up with the physical tickets?
So that was a random idea that I had driving, because I was thinking I missed it, like you said, I missed when you used to go to concerts, and you would have something to hold when you left it, even if you didn't buy a shirt, if you didn't buy a whatever, because I think people, back in the day when you go to a concert, you would keep the ticket stubs a lot longer than you would keep the koozie or the shirt that you bought or the poster. I don't know what happened to all the band shirts I've ever bought, but my wife and I we both keep things. So we have a lot of ticket stubs from movies or the first dates we went to, stuff like that, concerts that we saw together. So I wanted to give people something, just small as a ticket stub from going to it. And they were like, what if we only did this? Like you had to go to a record store and buy this ticket stub. We wanted to pretend it was the year 2000 again. So that's where all that thinking was behind it. The guys that we worked with to set up the show, it's Welcome to the Family. It's the name of the promoter. They work in Greenville and Charlotte. I just texted him. I was like, hey, Dylan, what do you think about this? He's like, love it. Done. I'll handle it. I was like, okay.
That's cool.
That's
So
a good
everything.
promoter.
Oh, they're excellent promoters. Dylan is the man. He made it so easy. I would throw all these crazy ideas at him. Like, all right, hear me out. What if we had bumper stickers that said I staged dove at the Piedmont Community Center? He's like, cool, yeah, do it. Cool. Awesome. Love it.
Nice.
So any of the crazy ideas we would have, he'd be all about it. I was like, man, what if we had food trucks? Okay, awesome, I'll handle it. So yeah, we had those bumper stickers.
So sick.
I'll be driving randomly around Greenville, and I'll just see a car with someone that I don't know them personally. I'm just like, that is insane that you have no other bumper sticker on your car except for a I stage dove at the Piedmont Community Center.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The physical media, it all comes back to, for me, missing the early 2000s when you could actually hold stuff. I remember coming home with a CD and going to my room and popping over the book and reading over the lyrics and listening to that CD till I wore it out. You would learn a whole CD, you learn a whole song, every song on it. You'd read all the lyrics and stuff. It was fun just to hold something. And I know a lot of people do that with vinyl, and that's why vinyl's been coming back for a while. But anything we could do more of that just to have physical memories is important.
Well, I feel like the last while that the actual art of this stuff has kind of been lost, right? That's like, I've started getting into vinyl too, like a lot of people, but it makes you be creative again. Like, oh, I have to draw a cover now that people care about, right? Like, right. I don't just do some stupid graphic that I'm going to throw up on Spotify. And I miss that part. I miss all the crazy CD covers. I miss all the, even just like the random, like movie demo quotes in songs. Like, some of the creativity and the art in this has kind of been lost. And I love seeing, like, that's one of the things we brought up about the tickets, the physical tickets. It's like the art and the creativity is starting to come back, and I'm all here for it. Cause just like you, like, I remember stealing posters from venues, that they would have promoting shows, and we would just grab a whole bunch and run out. Like, and then they're home, duct taped to my wall. Like, I miss that. And that's why I started doing this. Cause I miss that part of hardcore too. So yeah.
I am also a absolute, like, anything made out of paper or whatever, just like pack rat, set lists, zines, promotional like flyers and stuff. When we did our run in Pacific Northwest, they had a really nice print of the show flyer that you could buy there, and I bought that. But then we were out getting pizza, and they had some of the very first iterations with like a different lineup. Some bands had dropped and were added, duct taped on all these posts. So I like ran out in the rain and ripped it off of a telephone pole, and I was like, "This is coming home with me."
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Love that stuff.
That's great. So again, we'll sing your praises, but one of the things we said when we were talking about you guys is we feel like you guys are a band that 2025 could make the circuit run of the festivals and stuff like that. Like, you guys bring the energy. You're, from what we can tell, reception is good kind of thing. And your shows look great. So what is kind of the plan for the rest of this year going into 2025?
Well, the next big thing is October. We'll do some Canada dates. We've teased that a little bit. Tickets are bought. We're going out there. So we'll announce kind of the rest of those logistics coming up. We, being a bunch of family men and men in their 30s, we love a good long weekender. We love a good long weekender. Yeah, Randall, anything to tease on that?
I think what you'll see more from us next year, in the next year, as we get better at it, because this is when Canada. This will be about the third time that we've done it. We're starting to figure out how to do our weekenders not just in the Southeast. So we're starting to figure out how to go to Seattle, how to go to Canada. We went to Puerto Rico, how to do things like that. It takes some creativity as far as packing goes. It takes some creativity as far as finding out how we can manipulate airplane tickets to where they're not as expensive. But we're getting better at it. And I think that next year we're going to be less timid to even pull the trigger. Like, so if somebody offers us a show in LA, if it makes sense and everybody can do it, I see us saying yes. Things like that are starting to make more sense to us. So we love the Southeast. We love Greenville. We love playing around here a ton. But I think a guilty pleasure, at least for me, and I assume I would speak for you on this too, Will. If we can do Reviler and see places that we wouldn't have seen otherwise and meet people that we wouldn't have met otherwise, and the band pays for that, that's a win. If we can go places like that and have new experiences, like we're driving through Washington. I don't know if you've ever been to Washington State. That's a lot closer to y'all than it was for us. But I'd had no idea that one side of Washington State was redwood forest and the other side of it was essentially a desert. So we're driving through across the state, looking around, and we're all just having this conversation like, this is wow, this is breathtaking, this is beautiful. We would have never been here if it wasn't for these shows that we're playing. So we love those experiences. We love seeing new places. We love meeting new people. And if the band provides us a way to do that where it makes sense, we're going to continue to do that. It's been good to rack up these experiences that we have, and I think we really can see that doing more of that next year.
Well,
that's
when
awesome.
When you're ready to come see a big ugly city, you can come down to Dallas.
Okay.
So I'll take you guys to get some barbecue or something. All right. The cool thing about Texas though is you can do a whole weekend run just in Texas because there's big cities. So
love to do.
We are definitely down to go to Texas.
Yeah, do it Louisiana into Texas would be my.
There you go. And then listen, like we say this with every band, right? But you guys want to come through Salt Lake? We've got a nice little path going down from like if you want to go up north, you can go up to like Boise and stuff, and then over to like Sacramento, and you can hit even up to like Portland and stuff like that. Or if you want to go south, go down through like the desert, you can hit Vegas. That takes you to LA, San Diego, and all of that kind of stuff. So we've got a couple of paths to help you guys go places, and you guys just let us know.
Look,
like we'll get you guys out here. So. Don't listen to Kyle.
Yeah, Salt Lake has all those Mormon straight edge kids. I would love to come to Salt Lake.
Brother, you will fit right in over here. So
the Texas has that good beef barbecue.
Yeah. Good barbecue. Great barbecue.
Yeah, that's what Will loves.
Will, you can drink the barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah,
so.
There you go. They got like smoked potatoes, I guess, or I don't know, collard greens. Yeah.
Jackfruit.
We'll smoke some tofu or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. Will was coming over to my house one day. I don't know if he was coming over early to help me out with merch or to pack up or what, but I was like, "Hey man, I'm cooking some lunch." I was like, "Do you want some lunch?" He's like, I was like, "Dude, I got you. I'll make some vegan stuff. I found this really cheap chili that just happened to be vegan because they were so cheap they didn't want to put real meat in it." And then I like made some hot dogs with carrots. And I was like, "Here you go." And Will was like, "You know what, Randall? This is edible. It is vegan and it is edible."
Nice.
So,
it's a good friend. It's a good friend right there.
It was a recipe that I would eat again. It was very good.
No, there we go.
He called them carrot dogs. He called them carrot dogs, and I thought he was joking that he had a pack of veggie dogs that he was going to grill up. And I came and had actual carrots that were cooked beautifully. very, very tender, sautéed, seasoned great. But they were carrots on a bun, and I was
Yeah.
this is amazing. Why didn't I think of this?
That is like low
Heck yeah.
key super like genius for a recipe. Like
Yeah.
it kind of works. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better
Cool.
than the veggie dogs I've had from Will.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm super stoked for you guys. Like everything you guys have put out has been great. You guys kind of mentioned this before, but in the No Echo interview, you guys talked about the Martyr Complex EP. Is that basically the singles that you guys put out and then just it never came together?
All right, so that was effectively we have a demo that we only have physical copies of. And it's really cool. It's got some songs that are not on streaming, that were only on the cassette. It's got an intro. We have it actually recorded, and it is like an intro. It's like, you've got a martyr complex. We have it on some of like our videos for like promo stuff. That was like the intro of the EP. And it's got some like Randall made some like audio clips for it. He used like an old VCR commercial and got like this 80s track off of it, and then had this like spoken word, some of our lyrics, and it cuts it out. And we actually had a gentleman come up to one of our shows, and he's like, "Hey man, I've seen you guys a couple times. That demo that I bought from you, it is the exact length when I drive to work and drive home, and I love it. Now I've got to ask you, is that from a movie? Where's that?" And I was like, "What is this guy talking about?" Like, oh, this is that clip that Randall made from scratch. And those little Easter eggs, like we love things like that, and it's really cool when people pick up on them too. So that is when I said we should have had a 2023 demo-esque. A lot of those singles, we were like, nah, these won't. We'll have something different. And life, and we scrap things pretty indiscriminately. Randall, anything to add on the Martyr Complex demo?
We have a demo with a song called Martyr Complex on it. That's about as close as we got to that.
No,
Yeah,
that's great.
so it's kind of out there.
Yeah.
But no, maybe that wasn't the best thing to do, but I was like, hey guys, check it out. What if we had a demo and we didn't release all the songs online, and you could only hear these songs on the demo? We're like, yeah, that's sweet.
That's so sick.
And then it's just like, yeah, we have these songs nobody's ever heard because they have to buy it.
Well, listen, can we get our hands on a copy? I'll send you guys some money. I'd love to hear it. So
we can send you guys, yeah. We'll see.
oh, hell yeah.
We had another, like going back to the physical merch, we had I might even have it right here. Oh, let's see if this is it. So it's a 2-pack CD, 2-pack cassette, and one of them is let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so one of them is an actual cassette, and then the other one is a cassette, but you pull this down, it's a USB stick. So then plug it into your car. That was one of our fun little physical media things.
That's super sick.
Another Randall idea.
I had a car that didn't have a CD player and didn't have a tape player or cassette player. It had USB ports. I was like, why don't we just get little thumb drives? Oh my God, I found these thumb drives that look like cassettes. That's where that came from.
Dude, that's wild. Listen, that's like the coolest stuff I've seen. That's awesome. Keep doing shit like that. Like that's what we want. So, but for real, I want a copy of that. So I'm gonna send you guys some money. We're gonna make this happen. So, for real though, thank you guys so much for jumping on. For anyone who's listening, is it EP or is it an album? 7 songs.
It's a long EP.
It's a long EP. The EP is Devastation. It's fantastic. We are huge fans of it. If you guys have been following along, it's my grid. It's been on there for like the last 2 months. I swear every time I post a Reviler's on there. So we're huge fans. And can't wait until you guys make the Salt Lake run because Dallas sucks. So, anything else from you, Kyle?
Nah, man, I'm good. This was fun. Thank you guys. Glad
Yeah.
we finally made it happen.
Yeah, thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Thank you so much for having us. Would be remiss if I didn't just plug a couple of other Southeast bands that are doing really cool stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
please do.
Yeah, so South Carolina, Brass Tongue, Laid Out, Final Thread, Realm of None, Such Cruelty, Slug Crust. This is a very off the top of my head list. Randall, please jump in if there's anything that I'm just absolutely dropping the ball on.
Got our boys in Rat Poison.
Rat
Got
Poison,
our boys in
Columbia.
Hellhole.
Yep, Hellhole.
Yeah, and then of course Strike Face, Intimidator, Quiet,
Yep,
Low Country Guys.
Oh, Quiet's really good.
Quiet.
They're all
we
good, but
play
yeah,
with
Quiet's good.
our other Southeast. I say other. We're not straight edge. They are straight edge. We're playing with No Cure. Is it Tuesday, Will?
Yeah, our next show we'll play with No Cure on their run with Mouth for War. That'll be at the Radio Room. Shout out Radio Room and Wes, just doing some really cool stuff for Greenville, bringing in a lot of really good shows. Thank you, Wes.
Yeah, awesome. No Cure's fantastic. Caught them a couple of times in the last 6 months or so. So, but
Mouth for War is fantastic too. So,
that's true. Yeah. So
that'll be a cool
did,
show.
10 to the chest on that fest. So if you
Ooh.
like Mouth for War and you like mean, evil music, look up that, which is effective.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, okay. Well, thank you guys. We will be sure to tag all your social medias and everything like that. Thank you guys so much for it. And again, check out Devastation. So, okay, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.